Simply Scuba presents the Deco Stop podcast.
Hi all you wonderful people and welcome to the Deco Stop podcast. I'm Mark, a former dive instructor, and I'm here to talk about scuba diving and stuff. This week we've got all sorts from big important dive centres closing down. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Ocean 650 this weekend, which is quite interesting. There's been a couple new videos released by some of the top brands. But starting off with Simply Scuba updates. The main updates that we have is some new Sunto packs. Packs are basically dive computers with a wireless air transmitter included. So you can basically save yourself about £99. I think one of them you save £95, but for the majority it's about 99 quid. This is on the Sunto D5, the watch-sized dive computer, colour screen, lovely dive computer, and the Eon Core dive computer. So if you've been umming and erring about those and you're thinking about getting that like wireless air integration as well, then you can buy it all together as a pack and save yourself some money. Onto social channel updates. So on this Friday's AskMark, I was asked about basically what I would buy on a scuba shopping spree if I was giving £1,000. And you were like just starting out, what would you spend that money on? And whether you can put your wetsuit in a washing machine. So if you're intrigued, then yeah, head over and watch this week's AskMark. On Saturday, we did a Google questions answered on masks. That was quite fun. And on a similar thread on this Sunday, the video, the dive brief, is going to be on mask straps, because with the new Scout mask and the Aqualung Fast strap, all of these like elasticated like ski goggle style straps, these are becoming much more popular and semi-universal. I'm never a fan of the term universal because there's an exception to absolutely everything. So actually, yeah, this is a mask buckle. It's basically got a little hook on it that fits quite a lot of different mask buckles. So yeah, you can fit these to most. I can't promise it'll fit all of them. It's about, I think I measured it as about 14 millimeters wide, and it can fit over something about 5 millimeters. So yeah, a nice upgrade to your straps. So yeah, I figured I'd do a video on sort of how to take your old strap off, fit your old strap back on, and then sort of fit a one of these mask straps, these new ones. Yeah, just in case you were getting a little bit rusty. And on Tuesday, I got top tips on wings. So if you've been thinking about it, or if you do dive a wing, some of these might be useful. And moving into news stories, the first news story, I so almost put this in last week's podcast but unfortunately I'd already like sort of recorded it and uploaded it and did all this, and then a little bit later, this news broke that NDAC has closed, the National Diving and Activity Centre in Chepstow. They announced sort of late on Friday that they're going to be permanently closed. The official statement was the National Diving and Activity Centre is permanently closed. We are not taking bookings for leisure activities or public diving. We'd like to thank all of our customers for their support over the years. If you have any questions, please use our contact form or email info@ndac.co.uk. And that's kind of it, really. That's all the information that anyone's really sort of heard from them. Someone did point out that last December, NDAC announced that it wouldn't be opening during the month of January 2022. According to it, this is due to the rapidly rising cases of COVID-19 in the UK and the uncertainty as we move into the new year. So yeah, unfortunately, NDAC seems to have closed. We're not really sure what they're going to do with it, whether someone else is going to swoop in and buy it as an investment. But it was always a great diving centre or dive site. It was huge. It had some great depths in it, so it catered to a range of sort of diving qualifications and needs. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen to it? But yeah, a very sad day. When I first saw it, I was like, really? When you see that kind of headline and you're like, they're just like closing for like maintenance or something, and then you read further and you're like, oh no, they're really closing. Yeah, hopefully in a few weeks' time we'll probably sort of get a a longer statement as to sort of what's happened. I've heard lots of different like speculation stories about all sorts of different things happening to it, people buying them out and all that kind of stuff, but none of it's been verified yet. So yeah, watch this space, and unfortunately, yeah, if you haven't been diving at NDAC, you unfortunately won't be able to have that opportunity again. I managed to get there. It's in like South Wales. It's a fair trek for me to get there, but it's definitely worth it. It's a lovely dive site with these sort of floating pontoons and things. So yeah, definitely worth sort of experiencing. But yeah, chances are you might not be able to in future. The next news story comes from the Maldives, and they're celebrating their 50th anniversary of the tourism and diving industry in the Maldives with Ocean 650, which is an extreme diving event which is going to bring together local divers, tech divers, the international diving community, as well as marine researchers and environmental activists to try and raise awareness and advocate for meaningful and sustainable solutions to the issues of plastic pollution, climate change, endangered species, and their marine ecosystem. And to celebrate this, a technical diver from the Maldives, Shafraz Naeem, is going to be spending 50 hours underwater at 6 meters. That's what Ocean 650 sort of stands for. So you can learn more about it if you go to ocean650.org. It's all the letters are sort of spelled out, or if you just literally search for it. This is going to be on the 25th to the 27th of February on the sort of South Mali Atoll, and yeah, he's going to be sort of doing this. I was looking at the website. I was feeling a little bit bad for some of the supporting partners because they put all of their brand logos up, but unfortunately, because it's a white background, some of the brands who only have like white logos, I think I can make out one of them as Bridges, but it just appears as a blank spot on the list. So it would have been a little bit nice if they could have changed the background. There's another one here. I think it's Paradives, but again, it's a mostly white logo, and they've just put that white logo on a white background, so you can't see it at all. But anyway, there is a pledge that I think you're supposed to be able to sign. I think the website again is a little bit broken, but the pledge is that I insert your name pledge to personally and professionally to practice conscious reduction of single-use plastics and encourage others to do the same. I want my future to be blue, green, and happy. So yeah, definitely check it out. I imagine they'll be on sort of social media and whatnot. I've seen sort of Shafraz Naeem. He's quite sort of big into Twitter as well. So head over and support him this weekend. In scientific news, a new academic study by the University of Sheffield Medical School has further confirmed the effectiveness of Deptherapy's program in rehabilitating armed force veterans through the medium of scuba diving and ongoing peer support. So this is I think it's the fourth academic study since 2016 that shows that the Deptherapy model of using scuba diving as a supporting sort of therapy for wounded and sort of psychologically wounded soldiers has a positive, life-changing physical and sort of mental sort of boost. The study was the first within the sort of scuba diving community to analyze the well-being of beneficiaries on a longitudinal basis, apparently. It used qualitative and quantitative methods using a modified profile of mood states, or POMS methodology, apparently, to gather evidence in changes of perceptions of well-being from beneficiaries from when they first joined to the program to the current day. So yeah, it's further like quantifying and saying that, yeah, this isn't just, hey, come like learn how to scuba dive. Yeah, of course it'll make you feel better. It actually does. So it reduces a lot of tension. It overall sort of improves your psychosocial well-being, all those kind of things. So they've kind of looked at it, they've analyzed it as you sort of go through the program, and they're saying that, yeah, actually scuba diving is good for you, especially in this sort of scenario. So again, we're always praising Deptherapy. They do some amazing things. So yeah, if you do know someone, then maybe recommend it to them. The next news story comes from Cressi, and Cressi this week released a video on their new mask, the Quantum, and the Quantum has what can only be described as heat sinks in their mask. So this all kind of started with the Calibro mask, which if you've never seen it, it has like, it's a really low profile mask. It's more designed for free diving, but the really exciting feature on the inside is a fog stop seal. So it's like there's a second internal silicone seal that just goes over the top of your nose, so that when you exhale to relieve a squeeze, it doesn't push warm gas over the lenses. It kind of pushes it away, so it reduces the chances of it fogging up. The new Quantum mask, it has that feature as well, but it also has what seems to be called the colling fins system. I presume they were going for cooling, but I don't really know. It may be the sort of person who designed it was called Colling, but it's like a ribbed section in the soft silicone around the sides of the mask that sort of increase the surface area to volume ratio, so it acts a bit like a heat sink, so that the mask can cool itself to help reduce any fogging from occurring, which is pretty clever. It has another extra seal on top of the what the Calibro has. So around the lenses, it appears to have a another like silicone seal around the inside of the lenses. It's hard to describe verbally, but I'm sure I'll hopefully get my hands on one to show you a video of in the coming months. But the whole point of this seems to be about reducing fogging. So when you're on a dive, even if you've forgotten to spit in your mask or whatever, it's going to reduce that chance. And yeah, all these different things. Maybe we'll start to see this on more sort of mask designs, like these heat sink fins. I'd never thought I'd see a heat sink on a mask before. You only tend to see them on regulators, but yeah, maybe this will become a thing. I'd definitely like to try it out. But yeah, there's a video on their YouTube. I'll pop a link to it down in the description below. And the other video on YouTube that caught my eye this week was Mara's XR. They announced their latest sort of backplate and wing system called the XR Rec Trim, which is... I'm trying to think what I can equate it to. If you imagine like the X-Deep Ghost is a little bit like that. You have a very stripped down metal backplate, so it's incredibly light, but it's not a traditional backplate shape, but it's also customizable, so you can move the weight system around your waist up and down, so again you can sort of get that perfect trim, hence the name. So if you find yourself a little bit sort of shoulder upright, you can move the leads a little bit sort of further up, or vice versa, you can move those weights a bit further down. Another nice feature that I'm hoping is going to become more and more popular is it has a Y-shaped crotch strap. So it's a single 2-inch band on the front, but then when it goes between your legs, it splits into two. So that has a couple benefits. Especially if you're diving with a DPV, it kind of spreads the tension, because that's typically where it's attached to pull you through the water. So instead of having one 2-inch band, you're now spreading it, so it's a bit more comfortable. And you have two separate attachment points. You have two D-rings in the small of your back to clip things off onto. So yeah, this is going to be quite interesting. They're following that sort of X-Deep pick your colorway kind of design, because on the some of the padding you can have different colorways, which is pretty cool. padded harness, adjustable and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think this is going to be quite interesting, and yeah, again, as soon as I get my hands on one, I'll show you all about it. My product of the week this week is the Apex Thermic Dry Suit Boots. So these are a new product from Apex for their 2022 lineup. These are basically a pair of rock boots for dry suit divers. So if you're in the market for a new pair of boots, then definitely check these out. I'll hopefully have a video up of these sort of coming into next week. So these are super lightweight. Most rock boots, they're kind of clunky canvas type boots. But Apex have taken the, I think they're originally like white style boots, and they've kind of tweaked them a fair amount. And yeah, these are a nice light pair of boots. They've got a comprehensive Vibram sole on the underside that gives you a decent amount of grip, but all of the or a lot of the sides, they're very mesh material, so it allows water to drain from them freely. They're lace up on the front, so you can get it sort of perfect. This is of course if you got sort of dry suit socks, neoprene socks fitted to your dry suit. But yeah, if you're on the market for a new pair of dry suit boots, definitely worth sort of checking these out. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could wear a pair of just neoprene freediving socks and these as well, just for like normal scuba diving. And it makes them less like a neoprene dive boot and more of a kind of trainer style. So if you prefer that kind of feel where the shoe is like laced up exactly where you want it to, then yeah, definitely worth checking that out. One thing that I quite liked is that in the tongue of the shoe, there's a little pocket to tuck the laces away into it. Because I dive with a similar pair of rock boots, and yeah, you always have all this like excess of laces, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with this? So you end up like tucking it sort of inside of the rock boot. So yeah, they've obviously looked at that problem and gone, hey, you know what? Why don't we just put an extra like layer of fabric on here, and that way you can tuck your laces away. But yeah, nice pair of boots, definitely worth checking out. And yeah, sort of this week, sort of head over to the Simply Scuba YouTube channel, and I'll release a video on them shortly. And on to my question of the week, which this week is, are silicone straps obsolete? So this comes from the Aqualung Fast Strap and the new Fourth Element elastic, like ski goggle style strap, which I keep calling it a ski goggle style strap, but these are really growing in popularity. I'm seeing these more and more. It started off, the first one that I ever remember seeing was on the Aris, was it the Cyanea mask? That was probably about 5 years or something ago, and that was very, very different. And unfortunately, if you've been listening to the channel a lot ever since sort of Sean was here, scuba divers, we don't like change. So, but this is one of the sort of those changes where, you know what, actually this is a really big change that could make a world of difference. In that silicone straps, they're fine. They do the job, but one of the biggest things is always, you know what, you've bought this new mask. Do you want a slap strap, a neoprene cover for that silicone strap? Because silicone can be annoying. It's great on your face because it creates an effective seal, because it's nice and sticky. It sticks to your face, it creates an effective seal. But you know what? It does the same with your hair. So why would you want a sticky material getting tangled up in your hair? And silicone, when it rips, it rips. It doesn't just create like a little nick and then it's like rip stop where it stops. You put a little nick in, or you sort of like pull it a little bit too tight, and bang, it just cuts all the way through. So it's not the best material for a mask strap. So with these new elastic straps, I'm seeing that these are probably going to become a big thing, or a kind of a global shift. Probably not global. You'll probably find that a lot of the premium dive masks, your Apex VX1 style masks, those ones are going to start coming with these elastic bungee style straps. I think that's going to become in the next sort of 5 years, I think that's going to become just normal. the nicer straps. It already comes with like the Ziegel scope mask. That already comes as standard. The Fourth Elements, their Scout, that comes with the elastic strap as standard. I think that's going to become a thing where more higher end masks in the like 60s, 70 pound mask plus, they're all going to come just with a branded strap. But then below that, when you get your more budget masks, then yeah, they're just going to come with a pretty traditional silicone mask strap, because hey, they do the job. They're not perfect, but they're far from like terrible. They've been working for generations. They do the job. And yeah, I think now is the time when we can finally move over and shift over to a ski goggle style strap as standard. And now that we have these, what are almost universal mask, like buckle hooks on the Aqualung Fast Strap and the new Fourth Element, I think that's going to become more popular. The Aqualung one, that's been out for about a year or so. I haven't seen any problems with it, but yeah, time will tell. Because it is, again, it's a piece of plastic, so you do want to sort of make sure that's strong enough. The Fourth Element one is made out of recycled materials, which is wonderful for the environment, but of course, I'd love to sort of double check the amount of force that can go into that, and how much it takes to actually break one of those. If you hand it to a new student, they can pull on those sort of mask straps pretty tough. I had one experience where I was teaching a guy. We were sat at about 7 meters, and we're doing mask removal and replacement, and he did it. This was for his sort of open water. He did it. He flooded his mask perfectly fine, and this was very chilly water. I imagine it would have been sort of around the summertime, maybe moving into autumn time here in the UK. But yeah, the water was chilly, and took his mask off. He like swept the skirt, make sure so that everything was like nice and neat to put it back on. But then when he went to put it back on, put the mask on his face, but then just pulled on the mask strap a bit too rough, because when you're wearing gloves as well, you're a bit clumsy. And he basically pulled the silicone strap straight out of one buckle. So that was a whole sort of rigmarole, getting him a backup mask. But he was very calm, which is fantastic. I signed him off sort of without issue. But is that a similar problem with these new straps? I haven't sort of had that much experience with them to physically, test them to destruction. But saying that, the actual strap itself is much more resilient than a traditional silicone strap. One, it's much wider. It's a good sort of 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches. So it's a nice wide sealing surface on the back of your head. But if you sort of nick or cut a little bit of the fabric, because it's all woven, it's not going to cut all the way through. So for longevity, the strap itself is going to be sort of much better, and it gives a decent amount of personalization. Aqualung have done quite well with this. You can get everything from like stars and stripes to, I've seen like leopard print and stuff. So you get the traditional like blues and blacks and whites and yellows and stuff. But yeah, with the sort of like nylon material, you can get really colorful and it's like personalized with it. So I think in the future, give it about 5 or 6 years, we're probably going to start to see more personalization in these. We're going to start to see like instructor sort of stamped on the back and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's going to become a bit more mainstream, where we do see more premium masks and like run of the day decent masks, but not budget masks. I think we're going to see like elastic straps on those ones, and then for your more budget style masks, you'll just get the traditional ones, but you will have the chance to sort of upgrade it should you wish. So I'd quite like to see this. I haven't actually pulled the pin myself, but yeah, maybe I will this season. See what's coming out. I do like the Fourth Element ones. They do have some nice sort of subtle colours, and the branding isn't too sort of obtuse. But I kind of want to see what comes out of sort of Aqualung as well. See if they have any new funky new patterns. Because yeah, I know they fit my my Atomic Aquatics mask. Yeah, let's see what happens. And that's it for the Deco Stop podcast. So don't forget to follow us, subscribe wherever you're subscribing, rate us and all that kind of good stuff. Head over to the Simply Scuba website. There's going to be all of the links that I've referred to down in the description below. If you have any questions, comments, queries, or even corrections, if you've heard any sort of interesting rumors about what's happening to NDAC, pop them down in the comments below. And if you have any questions that you want me to elaborate on, if you use the hashtag AskMark in your comments, it just makes it a lot easier for me to find it. Don't worry if it doesn't show immediately when you hit post, because YouTube often sort of filters out hashtags. I just have to sort of authorize it later on. So if it doesn't post, don't panic. I can still see it. But yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. And of course, safe diving.